wondering a little bit behind the scenes. I know when a comic book comes out, it's not just like one artist that's working on something. There's someone that's done the line art, someone that's done the inking, another person's done the coloring, that kind of thing. When you're working in that kind of format and you have one artist doing one thing, one artist doing another, is there like back and forth between someone who's doing art could say, hey, would go back, or someone that's doing inking would say, hey, could you tweak this a little bit, or is it something that they would just change on the fly? Is it a collaborative thing, or do you just like, you get what you get and you have to like build off it and just go from there?
I think everyone works differently, but I've worked with Scott Williams, my inker, since like 1989, I think, or something like that. He's like I've been with him longer than I've been with either of my wives. How's that? So we have that really good working relationship. Yeah, he's awesome. He's a terrific inker. He's actually from Hawaii. Went to high school here. And so we have a really good working relationship. I just send him the stuff, and if there's anything that looks wrong, every now and then he'll send me an email saying, look, that looks weird. That doesn't line up, or one eye's higher than the other. And then I'll tell him to go to hell. I said, screw it, man. I'm sorry, I can't hear, it's hard to see people and hear people, so I can't tell if you think I'm just being a jerk or if I'm just being sarcastic, because usually the latter. But anyway, he's, so I send him so I always like basically either give him the information or redraw it, or we fix it in Photoshop. And then the same thing with Alex Sinclair. I've known him a lot longer, well, not a lot longer, about the same amount of time. He started working at Wildstorm in 93, 94, something like that. And so he'll always send me the color file first, and I'll give him kind of notes. And, so usually when we start a new series, I give him a lot of notes, every single page, every single panel, because I want to make sure that we're on the same page, sort of in terms of the art direction. And then every subsequent issue, I give him fewer notes and eventually nothing, right? So whenever we do a new character for the first time, it's like, hey, can you do this? Batman's eyes, I don't like it to be 100% white. Can we just put like 10% black in there to kind of push it back a little bit? And so there's always that kind of communication that we have, and he's great to work with because he understands that it's a collaborative thing, and ultimately he wants the stuff to look good as possible, and he goes the extra mile to kind of do those kind of changes. Someday I'll show you. I have it on my phone somewhere, but things that I would get and then the changes we would make and stuff like that. But then there are times I get something from him. Just the other day, he sent me this cover. He just nailed it. I was like, it's so awesome. And no comments. But yeah, it's great to be able to work that way. And even with the writers, I always tell the writer, if there's something I've drawn misinterpreted, I can always fix it. And so we'll go back in and digitally change it, right when it's getting lettered and colored. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My question isn't really comic related, but I wasn't able to get like a picture with you yesterday. I was wondering if I could get a picture with you later.
Yeah. At the end, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just come on up. We'll do that.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
I'll just let you draw for a minute or so.
Okay. You can ask the question. I can listen and draw.
Okay.
The hard part is talking and drawing because I get kind of just gesticulate a lot.
Okay, cool. I like watching you draw. But anyway, so you do hand in drawings in pencil. I see you're inking now for us, but do you hand in your stuff in pencil?
Yes,
Okay.
I mostly pencil my own work, mostly just pencil. Occasionally I will ink my own work, like that last cover I kind of tried to show you. That was my pencil and inks.
Okay, so here's my question from that first drawing that you showed us. You did like some whiteout on it,
Right.
and the black background.
Right.
Now, when the guys color it, do you think about like, first of all, with that black?
Yeah. Sometimes they can take anything in the black and knock it out, basically make it a little more gray or turn it into a color. So sometimes the colorists will do that. So on that shot of Batman and Robin, there's like stormy clouds and Batman's heavily shadowed. I think he took the black background and knocked it back just a little bit. So those are things you can do in Photoshop that you couldn't do back in the day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Lee.
Hey.
So what's your inspiration behind your into 1 in 500 variants on the Dark Knight series, and are we expecting any new characters to be introduced in those covers that we can look forward to?
What was my inspiration for the covers?
Yeah, because they're all. I mean, the last one with the Joker is my favorite one so far. But where you just come up with the ideas for those 1 in 500 variants. And
I just had to do a lot of them, so I wanted to do something that kind of reflected the original series. But then after a while, the original Dark Knight Returns series. But then after a while, I realized I was getting kind of bored, and so I started doing the Ben Affleck Batman, and the point of it was just really to kind of give some original art to the retailers that ordered a lot of copies of Dark Knight Returns. Create kind of a unique one of a kind variant.
Any new characters you're going to be coming out with for the new ones?
New characters? What do you mean?
Well, like the Penguin or something like that, maybe.
You mean on the ones I drawn? Those are all done. Those are all done. That was all for the first issue. So they're variant covers I'm doing for later issues, but they are all scenes from inside the Dark Knight Returns.
Okay.
So people didn't quite get that because they're like, there's a cover with the Joker on it, and they're like, I thought he was dead and all this other stuff. Like, no, that's a pivotal scene from the Dark Knight Returns, which came out in 1986. All the moments that I'm doing on the covers are key moments that I loved as a fan reading the Dark Knight Returns. So that's what the theme was there, but it's not. I guess it's not abundantly clear, which really reinforced that point to me that a lot of readers today don't necessarily have the same touch points of books that they kind of formed their fandom on. Meaning, when I was growing up, everyone had read Dark Knight Returns, everyone had read Watchmen, everyone had read, Daredevil, Born Again. And today, I don't know if that's true anymore because I read the comments when I put stuff up on Instagram. I go like, wow, these people don't know anything about comics sometimes, right? So it's this interesting era we live in because so many people know of the mythology but don't necessarily know of it from the comic books themselves.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So with this is the Joker, and I just took some stuff just to create some gray stuff to work off of. Obviously I went too far in here, but I know I'm going to go with white out and bring out that cheek. But it's just to try to create some very quick sort of black shapes and shadows.
Do you know what inspired you?
Yes? What?
Do you know what inspired you?
Are you asking, is this a riddle? What inspired me? What do you mean, like in general?
What inspired you to draw?
Oh, what inspired me to draw when I was a kid? Like I was saying, there was nothing to do. There was no video games. I remember, do you guys remember this? There was a video game, it was a little box, and it was a football game. All right, and there was a racing game. It was exactly the same thing. There was one red dot that was brighter than the other red dots. The red dot was you, the bright one, and the other less bright red dots were either the football players or the other race cars. And there are 3 lanes, and you basically move the directional control left, right, forward, and back, I think. And you just basically weaved in and out of these other red dots. And you had to use your imagination. Right, we didn't have all these kick-ass graphics, in Call of Duty and all these other amazing games. So that was like my form of entertainment, but that was really very limited. So I would sit and I would take paper and I would draw like adventures of Star Trek or superheroes or my own characters. And so I just drew a ton of, just piles and piles of horrible sketches when I was a little kid. And I think that was my inspiration. I was bored and I was trying to create some entertainment for myself.
That's me.
That's you? Nice. All right. Well, you probably have really kick-ass video games, so we're not quite the same. Anyway, yes.
Hey, Jim.
Hey.
When I grew up, you were the comic book artist that I wanted to be. You and I think split probably 50-50 with Art Adams. Didn't become a comic book artist, but I do design toys now, and I get to sculpt Batman and all that fun stuff now. So it's kind of cool. I'm getting close to what I wanted to be when I was a kid. So my question to you is probably a pretty simple one. What if you were a big influence of artistic influence on me? What's some artistic influences on you?
Yeah, growing up, it was Frank Miller and John Byrne, George Perez. Those are the comic book artist guys. Barry Windsor Smith was another one. Kevin Nolan, Art Adams. Pretty much anyone and everyone, and honestly, there were people that I didn't like, but I would still look at their work too, because I would try to figure out why I didn't like their work. Was it the fact that they drew faces kind of, squat, or did they over-render certain muscles? Were the poses kind of boring or not as interesting? And so I would kind of deconstruct their styles and use that knowledge to, literally, if they were to ask me, like, well, what could I do better to make my stuff more interesting or commercial or whatever, I could probably give them an answer. So I think you can find inspiration and knowledge in all the people that do art. You just have to figure out what kind of moves you, right?
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lee. I was wondering.
Yeah, I'm listening. It looks like I'm completely distracted, but in the early days of Image Comics, we would take these important meetings with important people, and all of us, all the Image partners, we would all be so late on our books. We'd all have our artwork there, and we'd all be drawing with our heads down like this, and no one looked like no one looked like they were paying attention or cared what was being said. And maybe that was the truth, but I was paying attention. But so anyway, go ahead, keep talking.
How do you get through the lies that when you're drawing?
Yeah.
I guess your eye kind of lies to you. So how do you figure that out?
A trick that Terry Austin, was an inker, he told me really early on, like, if you take your artwork and hold it up to the light, assuming you can look through it, you can see it as if it were drawn by someone else, right? So you take this up and you hold it to the light, and you can see the reverse shot of it, and I would be able to tell if I drew one eye higher than the other, if the jawline was a little too angular one side and not the other. So especially things with symmetry, it allows you to look like most people can look at other people's art and figure out if it's good or not, and see problems, and you're kind of blind to your own work because you created it, you love it, and so you can't see its flaws. But if you turn around, you can see your love child as the way everyone else sees it.
Does it still lie to you today?
What?
Sorry, does it still lie to you today?
Does it still lie? Yes, I still have to hold my artwork up to the mirror or to the light a lot. I don't like drawing like straight on face shots because I always get like it looks right, and then I turn it over, and invariably it's all messed up.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Yes. Are you the Grim Reaper? No. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
Excuse me, what was your favorite to draw? What character to draw?
Excuse me?
What was your favorite character to draw?
So, I was saying yesterday that really it's, they're like your children, so you have to kind of love everything you're drawing because that's what you're getting paid to do, and so you kind of have to muster up that enthusiasm. Otherwise, you're kind of shortchanging your fans or your readers what you're doing. So whatever I'm working on, that's what I really love drawing. But even when I worked on Batman, as much as I love drawing Batman, after a while, when you do the same thing over and over, it gets kind of repetitious. So that's why I think characters like Robin or Joker are so important, because they're so different from Batman in terms of their silhouette and the way they stand and their gestures and their costumes and everything. And so it allows you to constantly have some variety in what you're doing in a given storyline. So that's critical. So you can't really, if you're doing it all the time, you can't, like, you might have a favorite thing to eat, but you don't want to eat it every day, right? Or maybe you do, I don't know. My kids eat like, ho-hos every day. That's all they like.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, Jim. My question is about the movie Batman v Superman.
Yes.
I was interested, what are the parts in the movie that you like best, and which parts did you not like?
Yeah, I really like the movie, and it's weird when I tell people that. I always have to also then follow it up immediately by, like, I thought that, the critics really went overboard, and it's sad that I have to even add that on there. I think it should stand on its own merits. I thought it was a really, really good movie, and I understand that people had different expectations, but at the end of the day, I thought the acting was solid, the visual effects were really, kick-ass, and but I also saw the 3 hour. I saw the original cut first, and then I saw another cut, and then the final cut. And so the way I look at the story might be a little different from the way you saw it, because unfortunately I had seen the 3 hour version. So even when you see the more edited version, you remember all the stuff you saw. You can't forget what you saw, and so it always made sense to me. I think when the characters first show up, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, I kind of got goosebumps when they're all standing there like that. And I think when Wonder Woman comes on the scene and the music changes and it gets to that more kind of techno beat, that's a really cool moment. And I just love how because in the first version they didn't have that techno beat, and then it came in the second version, and it kind of really changed the mood of that scene. So that was really neat. So I just really respect what Zack Snyder did. It is so much work to put these huge motion pictures together. You look at the cast and the credits, there's so many people that work on these movies that you can put something together that's entertaining and really cool. It's so difficult to do, and at the end of the day, I thought it was just a very interesting take on superheroes, and I like the fact that they put Metropolis and Gotham City across the harbor. That was kind of an interesting first take, and I like the fact that they were adding new mythology to the universe. It wasn't just a straight adaptation of something I'd already read, because generally when they do that, I don't have much interest in seeing it, because I already read the story and just don't have as much interest.
Thank you.
I have like 50 million questions about People 2. Also, thank you for the portfolio review yesterday. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the time you give to your fans. It's awesome. Grifter. Are we going to see any more of Grifter in the DC universe? And then question number 2, are you going to be doing any more creator-owned projects in the future?
There are plans for the Wildstorm characters. I can't really talk more beyond that, but the fact that they're not a big part of Rebirth, it's by design. So that's all I'll say right now. As far as creator-owned, I do have a creator-owned project that I developed with a buddy of mine, and someday I hope to do it. I was thinking about it the other day, and I want to do something that might have a slightly different style than what I've done before. But I think it's a pretty good story, and again, it's just finding the time to do it. I've got a ton of stuff lined up, and right now I'm in the middle of Suicide Squad Rebirth.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hey.
So, growing up, who was your favorite superhero to read about?
So when I was a kid, like 8 or 9 or so, I was really into the DC stuff, and then when I got older, I was really into the X-Men. That was like my go-to book. That's probably the one I had the most number of comic books. I only had about 500 comic books or so when I was growing up. My parents really did not encourage me to read comic books, and they would just I'd have to badger them and pester them a lot to have them buy one comic book. But when invariably, if they did buy me one, it was invariably an X-Men book, and I just love what Neil Adams did on that. There was a whole period where he drew a bunch of the stories, and they were just amazing. So I just like the concept of it. Kids that went to school that had special powers, and I think it also felt the most realistic to me. I wasn't never a big Spider-Man fan, because like the idea of a radioactive spider biting you and getting powers, it seemed kind of hokey to me. But the idea that you could be born with a genetic alteration that gave you weird powers, I couldn't believe that. Yeah, that seemed reasonable. So anyway.
I guess I have one more question. Someone sort of asked this already, but if you had to pick one artist, who is your favorite, other than yourself?
Why would you say I would say myself as my favorite? What kind of narcissist would I be if I said, well, it's obviously myself. I'm man. It's hard to compete with me. I mean, definitely. I mean, Travis Charest is amazing. That guy is so good. I wish he did more, but the stuff he does is amazing. Mike Mignola, I like a lot of artists that are just like really clean and straightforward, and that's my style is obviously not like that, but when I look at other people's stuff, I like it when they're maybe a little more direct, something more different than what I do, because if it's similar to what you do, then maybe it would be too narcissistic or whatever. But there are artists that are just, like Darwin Cook was an amazing artist, and love his stuff. Again, very, very different.
Thank you.
I just wanted to see what you thought about the portrayal of Joker in the Batman storyline in accordance with the Arkham Asylum games. If Rocksteady had any collaboration with you in your work in regards to the concept art.
Actually, Wildstorm worked on the very and other guys in the studio that worked on it. And he worked a little on the second one, but less so, or he didn't on the third, I think, at that point. Rocksteady at that point had a pretty firm handle on what they wanted to do with the universe. And I like, again, the fact that they took the core mythology and went with it. It wasn't a straight adaptation of anything. They did their own version of Joker, Batman, the Batmobile, all that stuff. And it's cool because I think that's the fun of all this stuff, is that everything influences each other. The comics influence the games and the movies, and vice versa. So, yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool what they did and the risk-taking they took.
So would you say that you're pleased with the outcome of Arkham Knight?
What?
Would you say that you were pleased with the outcome of Arkham Knight?
Yeah. I mean, they had a definite story, and it was very engaging, and again, very different from what you've seen in other, stories.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
My question is, what do you think makes an interesting character?
That's a good question. What makes an interesting character? I think at the core of it, they have to be relatable, right? So there's something about it that we can all kind of understand or relate to. And then I think there has to be some sort of, especially a superhero or supervillain, there has to be some life-defining thing that basically sets them off in this path. And it could be something tragic, or it could be something noble or aspiring. But at the end of the day, Batman works because he's a kid that sees his parents killed in front of him, and that changes his life forever. But rather than letting the tragedy kind of destroy him, he uses that to really become the ultimate crusader, champion for those who can't fight for themselves, right? So that's something that's very noble and aspirational, very moving, emotional. So that's a key part of it. On a very simplistic level, movies do it all the time. Like, they'll introduce a character like Bambi, like her mom dies in the first 5 seconds of that movie, so you instantly feel a connection to that character. So there are a lot of things that we as creators can do to create empathy and sympathy and a connection between the character and the reader. That's one of them, obviously, but there are other ways of doing it. And that's critical, because that's ultimately why you love these stories. People kind of will look at the art and go like, oh, I love the art and that's why I love the story. But there's something deeper in the story thematically that the artist is helping bring out, and that's what you're responding to, and that's ultimately what makes these characters great, or not so great, right?
Thank you.
This is another video game question.
Sure.
So thank you for the work you did on Scorpion and Injustice. And besides DC Universe, is there any other video game related content that we should be on the lookout for? Like any other thing that you would have done? Because I looked you up on Wikipedia and it just had 2 things.
Yeah, I did DC Universe Online. Yeah, and that they just are now available on Xbox One, I believe.
Okay.
Right, so because they used to be part of Sony, and so they could never go beyond the Sony platform. Oh, okay. And now that they're Daybreak or something like that, they can do that. So that's interesting. I mean, it's a pretty fun game, free to play. Yeah. So I recommend it. But beyond that, I haven't really worked on any other games. I did a design for, I think, Scorpion for Injustice. Excuse me. But it's just amount of time in the day. Like when I worked on DC Universe Online, that was I worked on that game for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
And that's almost everything I did. I didn't draw a lot of comic books, so it's a full-time gig. So, but I would like to. I've got some ideas for other games that I'd love to, toss out there and pitch at some point.
Usually when you talk to somebody that's famous like you, they'd be like, oh yeah, we did something in the 80s, so I thought maybe you pull something out of your hat. But that's cool. Thank you for the information.
No problem.
Hi, Jim. I have 2 questions. The first question is, you're not inspired to draw. How do you get inspired again? How do you find that inspiration to draw more and be more creative?
Actually, like watch a good movie or read a good book or something like that, or look at another good comic book. And when they're really good, it makes me angry. It makes me mad. Maybe at myself, I'm mad at them. I'm mad at them because they're so good, right? And I'm mad because I'll never be as good. But I think that's good to kind of stoke that level of competition, or what I'm saying, like that you see other people doing great stuff. It makes me want to do great stuff, right? Or try to make great stuff. Yeah. So, but generally when I draw, I don't have too much of a drawing block. It's mostly like I'm procrastinating. I love drawing. I don't love to sit down and start drawing. So once I'm there drawing, it's cool. But trying to sit down and get into the moment, like, it's a lot harder.
So you've worked with Marvel, Image, and DC. Is there any point that jumps out during any of those 3 where you're just like, damn, my life is awesome? No, that's not. You know what? It's funny because it's funny that you would say that, because I think that about other people. Follow people on social media and go like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like, this guy's always like at amazing parties, and I'm here drawing my underwear at 3 in the morning, eating ramen and Pop-Tarts. And that's like my funny thing is, you get to do stuff like this, but a lot of what I do when I draw, I'm a professional artist, right? I have drawn for decades. I've drawn on some of the best known characters and sold a ton of copies. And the height of my achievement is I still draw late at night in my clothes, and I eat ramen and Pop-Tarts, right? This is what you can all aspire to someday if you work really hard. Yes, maybe, if you're lucky, if you put in the hours, you will eat top ramen and strawberry frosted Pop-Tarts at 3 in the morning while you're trying to make your damn deadline. And I was like, there's got to be something more. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe when you achieve the pinnacle of your career, like, shouldn't you have assistants that, cook the ramen for you at least or something? No, I have none of that. All my family's asleep. I'm like tiptoeing around because I don't want to wake anyone up. And I'm going like, oh, this is going to go straight to my hips. It's not going to be good. It's pretty sad. So no, I don't. I mean, but then I get to do stuff like this and come out here and, sit and then talk to the fans when I'm signing, and that's really cool. It's really interesting. There were a lot of fans that were here in '93 when we did a convention. They brought me some old tickets from that convention. There was a guy that said how he made friends when he was like in 2nd grade because he read one of my X-Men comics in school, and all the kids liked the fact that he read X-Men and they accepted him. Other people that have said they got into the graphic arts because they liked my art as a kid. So those are really awesome stories to hear and have those kind of interactions and encounters. So this is the pinnacle of it here. The other hard stuff, it's not so great. I don't know. Anyways. Awesome, thank you.
Hello, Jim. Since you're already drawing the Joker, just want to get your personal opinion. Which from all the movies done so far, which portrayed the Joker, do you think hard or at least as you wanted Joker to be portrayed like?
Which actor?
Which movie first?
Which movie? I'm gonna have to go with Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. That was like, yeah. That was a great movie, even without, you know, it could have just been a cop and a deranged, you know, psycho. The fact that it was Batman just made it a little cooler, but it was a great movie, just independent of it being a superhero movie.
Here, so and I think you already answered my second question, which is which actor. So I think it's Heath Ledger. Yeah, that's all.
I didn't hear the second part, sorry.
Yeah, it's like my next question.
No, hold on.
With Dragon Ball Z and Street Fighter voiceover actors including Sean Shepard, Chris Sabat, Dawson Chappie, the precocious Monty Gordon, Jordan Byrne, Chris Rickabon, and Michael Coleman. That's on the main stage. Also, legendary X-Men writer, creator of characters such as Gambit, Psylocke, and more, Chris Claremont is beginning his autograph session at 1 p.m. Thank you.
Heath Ledger, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for coming to Hawaii. My question is kind of on a tangent of what you guys are talking about. I think people may be curious, or maybe it's just me, but so now that you're, I guess, co-publisher DC Comics.
That's right.
How much? I guess the real question is how much power do you have?
How much power do I have?
The DC universe, you know what I mean?
You know, here's the thing. Whether you have power or not, it's how you exercise it that is a true measure of the power you have. Meaning, you could be a tyrant and you could force people to do your will, but if they resent you and don't like what they're doing, and ultimately seek to undermine your intent, I don't know if that's the best use of power. But if you can convince them that your way is a better way, involve them in the process so they're invested in what you're creating, essentially by giving them power, delegating power to them, you're actually strengthening your hand and creating something that's closer to your original vision, I think. So it's an interesting question, but I think if I had to work a certain style, it would be more the latter than the former.
Can you make any changes you want in terms of characters?
Why, is there something you want me to do for you? Like, can you put my face on Bruce Wayne's body in this issue because I have a pet with a friend? No. Sure. I mean, look, it's to a limited degree of, you know, you don't want to be going around and saying, hey, you know, there's a comma missing, change that. Oh, hey, make that towel red instead of blue. You don't want to create more work, so you got to pick your battles and prioritize what you want changed. But if something's critical and super important and you want it to change, then yes, there's an ability to do that. But again, you want to build consensus so that it's not just one person saying this is the way this is the way to do it, or the highway, and that generally doesn't last and doesn't work very effectively.
And my last question was, you know, now since you're, I was wondering, is there any way I can get a commission or a sketch original from you?
Yeah, I actually don't do any paid commissions, so this is it. Right here, these sketches. I'm going to give them away in just 5 seconds. All right? Okay. All right, so no more questions.
With Dragon Ball Z, Street Fighter, and more. Also, now we're going upstairs with How to Draw for Kids. And just beginning his signing period at his artist selling table, Chris Claremont, legendary writer of the X-Men. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys for hanging in there. And I'm gonna do this Wolverine while I'm signing for the people that have a platinum pass or whatever, and then I'll just figure out a way to randomly give that away. But thank you very much for your time, and it's awesome being here. Thank you.